Yes! What is up, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic video on your favorite YouTube channel of all time, Jimmy Conrad's YouTube channel. Let's get into it. It's our preview for both finals of both of these tournaments happening this summer. Fantastic matchups, to be honest. I don't think we could have asked for really compelling storylines in each of these finals. You have Spain versus England, you have Argentina versus Colombia. They're gonna be popping off, both of these, and they're both happening on the same day, July 14th, Sunday. It could be an amazing day of the beautiful game. It already is gonna be the amazing day. I don't even know what's gonna happen yet. Could be coming home, could be going to Spain, regaining their confidence as one of the best national teams in the world. They've looked fantastic. Or Argentina gonna win 3 consecutive major trophies. That would put them in the conversation for the best national team of all time. Can we talk about that really quick? Because Spain is the only other team to win 3 major competitions in a row. 2008 Euros, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euros. So they have to be part of the conversation. Arguably the best national team of all time. What do you guys think? Also, France were good. In 1998 they won the World Cup. Zidane, Henry, so on and so forth. There's just so many names on that. Then they won the Euros in 2000, but then they crashed out of the groups in 2002 in the World Cup. They had the talent to do it, and they stumbled at that last block. To do 3 in a row is insane, and Argentina's on the precipice of that. Germany, 70 to 76, I think. They got to 4 consecutive semifinals. They won the Euros in 72. They won the World Cup in 74. You have the Dutch, Johan Cruyff back in the day, got to 2 World Cup finals in a row, 74 and 78, and got 3rd in the 76 Euros. But they didn't win anything. They don't have any trophies to show for it. You got Brazil winning back-to-back World Cups in 58 and 62. They got to be part of the conversation, but this Argentina team is on the precipice of making history. And we could argue that if Messi comes back for the 26th World Cup, I don't know if this is going to be his last tournament or not. I think he'll play in 26. Could they do that? Could they unprecedented winning 4 in a row? They have the core players to do it, and even though Messi isn't playing well in this tournament, by his standards, I should say, only 1 goal and 1 assist, the other players have stepped up, and they have Emi Martinez, who anytime they're in trouble, he just makes saves, especially in penalties. I feel like I've just got into my preview for this final, so let's just keep going then with Argentina, Colombia. I was gonna go with the Euros first, but you know, let's take a look at the results. First game against Canada, the first time they played against them to start the tournament, 2-0. If they had scored all their chances, and if Canada had scored theirs, I think that game would have ended up 7-2 in favor of Argentina. Then they played Chi-Chi-Chi, Le-Le-Le, 1-0, bit of a dogfight, got the results. Did they ever get out of 2nd, 3rd gear? I don't think so. Then they took on Peru without Leo Messi, who was nursing an injury. They won that one 2-0. Kind of did what they had to do, which is, for me, one of the themes of the tournament for them. However, when they got the quarterfinals, I thought Ecuador was excellent against them. Excellent. They had Enter Valencia, who missed a penalty, which would have made it 1-1. Lisandro Martinez scored his first ever goal off a set piece. Not a lot of goals in the run of play, I would say. They create a lot of chances, of course, Argentina. By their standards, of course. You feel like they should be finishing more. They score first, and it looks like it's going to be another one of those games where they're in complete control. And then Ecuador keeps fighting, keep asking questions. They get a penalty, Enter Valencia hits the post, and then they score late. Kevin Rodriguez scores. That's the only goal that Argentina has given up in this tournament, was in the 91st minute to Kevin Rodriguez. Then it goes into penalties, and then Emi Martinez does Emi Martinez things because Leo Messi tried the Panenka, and it didn't work. And then they play Canada again in the semifinals, and I don't think they really got out of 2nd gear and won that one 2-0. A little bit of a different game, but they still did what they had to do, and now they find themselves in the final. For me, and for everybody, I'm sure watching, a much easier path to get to the final than Colombia, who took on Paraguay first. They were up 2-0 in that game, and then Paraguay started to get back into it and made that one 2-1. Then they took on Costa Rica, won that one 3-0, no problem, complete control. Then they played Brazil. They were down a goal in that game, and they ended up coming back and scoring to make that 1-1. Then they took on Panama, a relatively, should have been us, the US, but they took on Panama, and they smoked Panama. They were so good, and Lucho Diaz scored his first goal in the run of play. He'd had a penalty against Costa Rica, but it was good for him to score in the run of play. And then they took on Uruguay in the semifinals. That was tough. They got a red card right before halftime, so they played the whole second half with a man down. They ended up winning that one 1-0. James Rodriguez, different gravy when he puts on the Colombian national team shirt. 1 goal and 6 assists, up for player of the tournament for sure, especially if they win it. It's gonna be a special game. They're on a 28-game unbeaten streak. The last time they lost was in February of 2022 in World Cup qualifying, and it was to Argentina. So they have a chance at redemption in a lot of ways. This is their first final since 2001, the only time they won the Copa America, and that was 23 years ago. I'm sure some of these players weren't even born when that happened, which is pretty wild. Argentina, as I mentioned, on the precipice of winning back-to-back Copa America titles and the World Cup, and obviously will be favorites for 26 as well, especially if Messi decides to come back and play. I don't know how this one's gonna play out, but I do do think what I really love about Argentina is that other players have been stepping up in the absence of Messi being Messi. I think he's nursing an injury. I don't think he's 100%, but this guy is special. He can change a game by himself, and that always has to be taken into account. But this Colombia team, under their manager Nestor Lorenzo, have been fantastic. They have a real identity on both sides of the ball. This feels like a coin flip for me. If Messi was playing at full speed, was at 100%, and it was clear that they were really taking it to teams and he was driving the game, then I would say Argentina has the edge. And maybe they do, just because Messi's Messi. But there's something about this Colombia team that I really like. I could see this going to penalties, and then who knows what's going to happen. Argentina, not the most success, especially in finals of Copa America. I was there in 2015 in Chile, where they lost to Chile in the penalties in the final. And then I saw them lose to Chile again in New York in the Centenario in 2016. I felt like I was a bad luck charm there for a while. But this is going to be a great game. I'm really excited about it. I don't know if Argentina can hit that next step, that next gear. Colombia might not be able to run with them. That first goal is going to be really important. So I'm excited to see how both teams are going to go. I'll lean towards Argentina. I think that they can see that history is close, that they can reach this immortality. And Colombia obviously are hungry, have nothing to lose, are the underdogs. So many great narratives in this one, so many great matchups in particular. Though I think Colombia put a lot of energy and emotion into beating Uruguay, and then Daniel Munoz getting a red card. Not going to help as well. He's been really dominant on the right side. But Colombia is so good on set pieces as well. James Rodriguez can change a game by himself too. This is tough. This is tough. I think it'll be a draw, but ultimately I'm edging to Argentina. What? I'm wearing the jersey as well. Respect. Respect it. All right, let's talk Euros. Sir, what's one of your talents? Rambling. I can ramble. And who does that frustrate the most, sir? My editor, Kevincho. Yeah, because then he's got to figure out the best parts to use. But they're all great because I'm good at rambling. All right, so similar to what we did for the teams in Copa America in terms of running through how they performed in every single game, I want to do the same because I feel like it really kind of tells the story of where these teams are headed into this particular final. And this is a big one for both of these teams. Spain, who have been looking to kind of regain that dominance that they had 12 years ago, and then England, who on the precipice of bringing it home. Coming home, it's coming. I don't need to sing it. But getting back to the Euro final is really impressive. And I know that Gareth Southgate has been under a ton of criticism lately, but every time he's in a major tournament, he seems to push the right buttons. And we're gonna get into their last game against the Netherlands here, but let's start from the beginning, where they took on Serbia first. They won that one 1-0. I really want all 90 minutes of my life back after watching that game. Really uninspiring, but they got a result. Then they took on Denmark. They were up 1-0 in that game, and then they had Yulman score that absolute peach of a goal from about 30-some yards, and it ended 1-1. Then they took on Slovenia, and you're thinking, all right, they're gonna take care of Slovenia. They didn't take care of Slovenia. I want all 90 minutes of my life back for that one as well. That was 0-0. Then when they get into the knockout rounds, they give up the first goal in every single one of their knockout round games. First up was Slovakia. They gave up the first goal there to Ivan Schranz, and then they come back. Jude Bellingham scores what is going to probably be the best goal of the tournament, though Lamine Yamal could have a say in that after his goal against France. But Jude Bellingham has that bicycle kick, and then, what, 30 seconds, a minute after they get into extra time, Harry Kane scores to make it 2-1. It settles 2-1, and then they play Switzerland, who were very good. Switzerland have been very good throughout this tournament, and they win that one in penalties, went down a goal in that one too. Obviously, there's something about this English team that they have some resiliency, which I really appreciate. I think it really speaks to the character of the team, but they outlast the Swiss in penalties and booked their ticket to the semifinals against the Netherlands, where again, they went down a goal. Xavi Simons decided to hit a thunderbolt that maybe on another day, Jordan Pickford, if he had maybe longer arms, could have saved that one. He's got T-Rex arms, which, hey, fair play to him for having small arms. He definitely has had a tremendous career, so not much I can say regardless. And then I think what was interesting about this performance was them coming back, of course. Harry Kane scores on a penalty, and then super sub Ollie Watkins comes on and scores a hell of a goal, which I didn't even know that angle was possible. It felt like everything was cut off. Either the goalkeeper had it cut off, or De Vrij, the defender, had it cut off and went between his legs, hit the side netting, and wow, what a finish to that game. Some incredible finishes for England overall. Bukayo Saka obviously scored late against Switzerland to take it into pens. They were excellent in pens, and I guess what I really appreciate about England, and we'll talk about this with Spain too, is just the depth. Players have come on and made a difference. Ivan Toney's come on, not only to score a penalty, but he made a difference in the Slovakia game, had the header back across to Harry Kane. I mean, everybody's just playing their part. Kobbie Mainoo has been fantastic when he didn't start initially, but he eventually got into the team and the team's looked a lot better. Phil Foden was excellent in the last game. I really actually appreciated England's first 45 minutes against the Netherlands. I thought they were awesome. Anytime Harry Kane's dropping into midfield, there was actually some real depth of people trying to get in behind. I thought Phil Foden did a nice job of probably staying a little bit more central. Now they went to a back three and have wing backs. They just seem a little bit better balanced. And that's going to be important when they take on Spain. Speaking of Spain, let's look through theirs really quick. So they took on Croatia. Even though Croatia had some very good underlying numbers statistically against Spain in that first game, couldn't take their chances. And Spain really sent a message to everybody they're going to be forced to be reckoned with. They beat them 3-0. Then they take on Italy. Game was close scoreline, but let's be honest, there was only one team on the field. Italy looked terrible in that particular game. I think Spain had about 20 plus shots in that one. They beat Italy 1-0. The Albania game was a little bit more difficult. They win that one 1-0 as well. They made some changes to their starting 11 because they could, because they'd already booked their ticket to the round of 16. Then they take on Georgia, and I think this was an important game for them because they gave up the first goal. Even though Georgia didn't actually score, it was an own goal. There was something about, okay, how do we solve this problem? Now, England's already shown and demonstrated that they can fight back when they're a goal down, but Spain hadn't had that issue yet because they hadn't given up a goal yet in the tournament. So it was really interesting to see how they were going to play through that. No problem. Rodri steps up and makes it 1-1, and once they got that 1-1, they started to relax, and they ended up winning 4-1. Then they take on Germany. When we think about one side of the bracket versus the other, this was the much more difficult side. They take on Germany, and they needed a Mikel Moreno in 119th minute of extra time to beat the hosts, the Germans. This was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. But Spain, I still felt like were the better team throughout. Yes, they gave up a couple chances. They showed some vulnerabilities, obviously gave up a goal, but in terms of who was really dictating the flow and the action of it and controlling most of the game, I still think that was Spain. And then you have the France game. France ends up finally scoring their first goal, Kolo Muani from the run of play, I should say. But I think before Kolo Muani scored, there was a play where Lamine Yamal put that ball to the back post, a sweet cross with his left foot. Fabian Ruiz was there, should have been a goal. And even though Kolo Muani had scored and gave France the lead, it was still clear the intent of how Spain was going to play and how they were going to create opportunities was already on display. The foundation had been laid, their confidence was in place. I think beating Germany really, like, okay, they had some tough opponents in their group. On paper, Croatia obviously crashed out. Italy didn't do well, crashed out. Albania, Georgia, okay. Germany, you're beating a really good opponent. You're beating the hosts in their home country, in their stadiums that they're comfortable with, the players are all familiar with, in front of their fans, and you go out there and get a result. I thought that showed a little toughness that maybe we hadn't needed to see yet with Spain. And then when the France game, they go down a goal and they find their way back into it. They score 2 goals in 4 minutes. Lamine Yamal, obviously as nice as can be. I mean, imagine 16 years old doing that. I couldn't imagine. And then you have the second goal a couple minutes later from Dani Olmo, who's been fantastic since filling in for Pedri. And again, that's another piece of evidence of, just like England, there's players that are kind of outside the normal 11 that are stepping up. Dani Olmo's a great example, and he could be up for player of the tournament, especially if he has a good performance in the final. Then you have, even in the last game against France, you had 2 of your starting defenders out, but then here comes Nacho and here comes Jesus Navas, and you still go out there and get a result. And I was really impressed with just their depth and their game changers. Mikel Moreno, as I mentioned before, scoring that winner, or Oyarzabal comes on and makes a difference. Ferran Torres comes on and makes a difference. I think Spain's gonna win, ultimately. They have the better team. They've been better and more consistent throughout this tournament. I mean, just really, really good, and they've played better opponents, ultimately, throughout this tournament. Whereas England, I think, finally played their best game of the tournament in the last one, which, for me, makes them dangerous. And I think they can rely on being in the final last year and losing that and how disappointing that was, and then potentially doing it. I could see either team winning. I should have started there. But I just think Spain's got a little bit more of that quality to see it over the line. That said, when you look at this England team on paper, God, this is a coin flip as well. Both of these finals are next level, but I'm gonna lean towards Spain, as I just said, even though the 3 Lions, they could do it, but then all my English fans would be insufferable if they actually won a major trophy, and that would get old. I don't know. What do you guys think? Hit me up in the comments, as you always do. I appreciate your support. As always, hit like and subscribe, because that would be pretty awesome as well. And we'll do a little recap once the tournaments are over, because I like being on YouTube, and I love my community, and it's a lot of fun. And so, yeah, we should do that. I'll catch up with you guys later. Enjoy the games. Later.